Day 3.
Yes, sir. Day 3.
We're now with the public libraries, and Ken, if you could introduce yourself and your colleagues and then make whatever statement you'd like to make regarding the budget.
Great. Well, I'm Kent Oliver. I'm the library director of the Nashville Public Library, and I'm joined today, sitting to my right behind me here is Margaret Ann Robinson, who is the past president of the library board. Keith Simmons was unable to be with us today, our board president. I also have with me Chase Adams, who is the Associate Director for Administrative Services, and Susan Dry, who is the Business Office and Human Resources Manager. So, if I may, what I would like to do, Mayor, is to very briefly run through a list of projects that the library has going on, because I think that'll give you some context for our budget requests. Is that
That's
okay?
fine. Sure.
Great. I just wanted to mention these because I think it shows the breadth of the programming and the activities that are going on at the Nashville Public Library right now. We currently have 2 new branch buildings that are in process. The Southeast community site, the Southeast branch, is actually in design phase, and we have a request for a proposal out for the Bellevue branch, the long-awaited Bellevue branch. And both of those we hope to see opened in 2014. As you're aware, the archives move is also a project that we're looking at. The Green Hills property is in the process of moving out from Metro, and the plan is to move the archives out at Green Hills down to the main library on the 3rd floor. And we are looking at a total rearrangement of the main library on that 3rd floor, and also some space changes in the children's area on the 2nd floor and possibly the 1st floor. Limitless Libraries is going great guns, and I'll be talking about that later, but that's always a project that we're involved in and excited about. The Wright Middle School library revitalization, as we did with Hillwood last year, we're looking at redoing the library there at that school, along with Metro Public Schools and the Library Foundation, and some donations that are coming from Ingram. The retirement incentives have required some personnel coordination on our part. We actually lost 18 staff members to the early retirement benefit buyout, and so that's required some coordination on our part to keep all of our facilities open, but I'm happy to report that we're doing fine with the assistance of finance and human resources here at Metro. We're looking at a request for proposal on a new online catalog system. We have one of the original online catalog systems with the company that provides that system, Innovative Interfaces, and it's time to upgrade that system into what we would consider more of an Amazon or a discovery layer approach, and that's somewhat technical, but it basically would bring us up to date on what we should be providing the public in that area. We're reworking our website, which is always important, both for access and for information about our programs. We have a new magazine download product, Zenio, that some of you may have heard about, where our library card users can actually download magazines for free onto their handheld or laptop devices, which we think is an incredible service. It complements Freegal, which is our download for music. And we are also working on a new product that we're calling Boombox, which would actually be an opportunity for us to gather Nashville-related music and have the ability to download music from Nashville artists for free to our library card holders. Adult literacy is always one of the key things that we're working on. We're trying to move into the area of adult literacy in some meaningful ways, working with some of the area providers. And our family literacy commitment is always there with programs such as Bringing Books to Life. Nashville Reads, we're in our 2nd Nashville Reads, and Mayor, we've appreciated your support and involvement in that. I know that's dear to your heart.
Bongo Java's on the agenda tonight.
I know. So we have Life of Pi this time. We had The Handmaid's Tale last fall, and that's something that we enjoy our partnerships and collaborations with. And I think citywide it does really make an impact, and we're handing out 1,000 free books this year in addition to the literally dozens of programs that we're doing. And I'm looking forward to the wrap-up at the zoo on April 16th. I think that's going to be
April 16th at the zoo, they're going to show the film, right?
Right, they're
Life
going
of
to
Pi.
show the
3D version
film.
or the regular version?
I'm not involved in the technical aspects of it, but if you've read The Life of Pi, you know the first 100 pages, there's a lot of discussions about zoos and animals and what that all means. It's a great place to have that discussion.
It will be, yeah, and I understand there's going to be a panel talking about animal behavior and stuff too. So it's going to be a great event. We're expanding our ebook collection as much as we can. Just to give you an idea of how that's increasing, in January we had 26,000 downloads of just ebooks, and that compares to 17,000 in January 2011. So we're basically seeing about a 50% increase in the traffic with ebooks each month as we go along. One of the things I've been focusing on is library board development and education. One of the interesting things that we've added this year is to move the library board meetings around so that we're alternating months. One month we'll meet at the main library, the next month we'll meet at a branch. And I think that's important because I like to talk about the fact that while the main library is a very visible entity and an important entity for us, we do so much of our work in the branches, and they're so important to us. One of the things that I know your office receives, and hopefully you get a chance to look at, is that we do an organized board report each month now, and I think we get that to you folks online, but it provides comparative data each month. Some of the foundation-supported events that you're familiar with, we have a number of salons coming up. The International Puppet Festival is June 21st through 23rd, and we do have a recognized puppet troupe that's international here at the library. We have a new publication coming out called Unbound. Unbound is going to be a quarterly publication that gives basic information about the library in addition to programming. So when you come in to get a library card, you'll get a rundown of all of our services and programs in addition to just basic information. Strategic planning is going on internally. In addition to the goals that we set with Metro, we're looking at some very specific things in-house about what we're doing and what we're not doing well, and trying to really set a direction. We have ongoing programming for children and teens, and of course the Nashville and the Civil Rights Room are very active. Just to give you an idea in data numbers, what we're looking at or what we're estimating for this year, we believe we'll be circulating in the area of 4.5 million items to the public. We believe we'll have about 3.8 million visits to our different facilities, and our collection size right now is sitting around 2.5 million items. So, are there any questions on those before I get into the budget requests?
No. Go ahead.
Okay.
Well, you should mention, I think, and I'm sure it's categorized under one of the things you talked about, but I think one of the great things you all do, and the foundation's been a huge part of this, is the salons. The different writers you bring into Nashville on a regular basis has been, I've tried to get to each one to introduce the author, and they've been, I don't know if people realize the level of talent you're bringing into the city on a regular basis. Oh,
we've had some great ones, and the upcoming ones, April 3rd will be Anna Lamott, April 8th Elizabeth Strout, and April 18th Cheryl Strayed. And she has a very popular book called Wild, From Lost to Found on the Pacific Crest Trail. So you're right, I mean, those are the upcoming ones. Obviously we had Margaret Atwood here. We've had the author of Life of Pi that was kind of a combined program, but we're really bringing in some great authors along with the help of Parnassus and Humanities Tennessee. So, thank you. Moving on to our requests, we provided information to Metro on some budget enhancements that the board has approved, and in addition to our 2% reductions that you wanted us to look at and estimate. And in regard to our enhancements that the board approved, we're requesting that we open all branch libraries on Fridays. This would involve 31 new positions. Open the main library on Mondays, that would be 14 new positions. In the 4% funding, we'd like to see the book budget go up to $3.5 million, up from $3 million. We are requesting that the Southeast branch staff additions be funded, which are required to open the new facility. The The Limitless Libraries and Emerging Technologies Enhancements, we'd like to have 5 new positions in that area. We're also requesting supplements for the library grounds maintenance services, and we also have a fairly aggressive capital improvement and equipment replacement addition. The board did approve the 2% reduction that staff recommended, and that would involve closing a community library and eliminating the Talking Library program. And obviously we're not in favor of closing a community library, but believe the elimination of the Talking Library is something that we could look at, along with transferring those staff to the main part of the library services. We believe that the Talking Library at this time duplicates services that are already available in other avenues of service for those that have those disabilities. While these budget enhancements requests certainly are optimistic, we believe that they are reasonable and essential. If we are a great city with a great library, then we need to have all of our buildings open during the weekdays. And the ability to do this is certainly driven by staffing levels. And a review of the library's recent budget history indicates enhancements for Limitless Libraries, but reductions in other areas. Metro internal service fees have increased over the last several years, and the library has lost approximately 68 full-time equivalents during a 10-year period, despite the fact that our building footprint has increased. The materials budget, we believe, remains inadequate based upon the needs of the community and the success of the Limitless Libraries program. And the transition from paper book format to e-content is creating additional strain on that budget as we're doing that transition. Limitless Libraries does continue to be a success and to expand. We can directly trace 27,000 library card holders that were registered in Limitless Libraries. And the increased checkout rate in that area went from 55,568 so far this year to 88,373 from 2012 to 2013 to this point. And we are in all 128 public schools. We need new staff positions to route materials, process materials, and coordinate the service as the program grows. Along this line, the library's technological capacity does need to increase and expand, including new software, database acquisitions, and continued support of online periodicals. The request to support capital improvements and replacement is robust, and we realize this. All library buildings are showing their age. The Nashville Public Library no longer has new library facilities other than the Goodlettsville branch. In the past, there's not been a replacement schedule in place for furnishings and equipment, and the library is working with general services to implement a programmed replacement schedule. Carpeting, furniture, HVAC systems, the conference center AV system replacements, and many smaller equipment and building items are included in our request. New technology keeps pace with equipment replacement, database subscriptions, and handheld devices. I mentioned the concept of our new online system, and we believe that is a vital thing to be funded, and we would like to be able to add that system next year. Information on these items was provided in detail to the finance office and to your office, and among those attachments, we provided some benchmarking against other libraries of our size in the urban environment. There were actually 12 other libraries that we looked at, basically looking at, most of those libraries were similar to Nashville in population. A couple of those were what we would consider excellent libraries. Consistently, our operating per capita support, our materials support per capita was in the lower 1/3 to 1/2 of those libraries that we benchmarked. And I think you do see a direct correlation between operating per capita and service usage versus the community impact. It's hard for us to deliver services when our per capita support is on a limited basis. What we are facing right now are access issues and literacy issues for Nashville, and we'd like to be able to address those with these budget enhancements.
Okay, thank you. Well, before we delve into other questions, I don't know if I've shown you this yet, Kent, but we got the Harvard Kennedy School sent us a certification of limitless libraries as being a recognized bright idea in government in the Innovation in Governments program. So
exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's great.
There it is. Yeah.
If there was a crowd here, I know they'd be applauding. There is a crowd here.
And let me recognize we have two council members with us, Councilman Stein and Councilor Gilmore. Thank you both for being with us. Tell us what the budgetary ramifications are of opening all branch libraries on Friday.
Okay. We have a total impact looking at that if we were open for the entire year for all branches would be $1.1 million. And that includes the addition of 31 new positions. One of the issues with any public service, and certainly public libraries, we need to have a minimum number of bodies in the building to actually open and provide the service. And of course what we do is very staff intensive, and that is where the bulk of the requirement would be to open those buildings on Friday. I'll just jump into the main library. The main library is about $470,000 to open on Mondays, and that would be adding 14 new positions.
Okay. And is there ways that, I mean, all of this is driven by budgetary concerns and revenue available. Is there a partial ramp-up program you could do, or how would you approach, is there different segments we could do?
I think when you're looking at the branches, you could certainly consider at what point in the year you opened. Another approach would be just to begin by opening the regional branches. We have 5 regional branches that are designed to serve general geographic areas, and certainly in dealing with the budget, it might be an approach to begin by opening those regional branches as opposed to all the locations.
So you could do the main library and then the regional.
Right, and that would be a great starting point for us to start moving forward towards that.
Okay. And then in terms of library materials, that would be 4% money that would just need to be increased by about $500,000?
Correct.
Okay, and which would allow you to continue to update and
right. As I mentioned, there's pressure on our materials budget simply because I question the adequacy of it to begin with based upon the population we're serving. When you do measures and benchmarking and analysis. The other part of that is the transition to ebooks, because we're in a situation right now, hopefully the public knows that we provide ebooks for free and they can be downloaded from our catalog. But what we're in effect doing is right now is buying in 2 different formats as there's a transition to ebooks. And we currently have, and again this is somewhat technical, when somebody puts a book on hold, we have a trigger at what point we're supposed to be buying an additional book after we have so many holds in place. Right now we have a 5-to-1 ratio, whereas we have 1 copy of the book for every 5 holds. Most libraries our size use the standard of 3 holds to every 1 book owned. So we'd like to get to a point where we could not impose, but apply that ratio so that people could get their holds faster.
Okay. And then with limitless libraries, you've got the one school that, thanks to John Ingram, you did that great work with the schools on Hillwood High School, which is, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it really is an incredible resource for that school and a great model for what can be done elsewhere. So there's another school, a middle school you're working on now? Right middle school. And what's the cost of doing that project?
I'm looking at my.
It's about 500,000.
I was going to say I thought it was about 500,000. At the last meeting I was at, I believe that budget was slightly reduced, so that we may be looking at 450 as opposed to $500,000.
Okay. And then as Limitless Libraries expands, I think one of the things that I really like about it is that in the main library, in the distribution room, you've done a really great job of working with young people with disabilities.
Right.
And is that a model that can be enhanced and built upon?
Absolutely. We're continuing to work on that, and what we're continuing to do is streamline limitless libraries to make the delivery more efficient. As you mentioned, we have a room actually in the basement of the library where we're staging our collection so that those holds can be filled more rapidly, in addition to going throughout the system. And wherever possible, we're using volunteers and those sorts of population that can help us out.
That's another good thing to see. If you really want to see the impact of it, you go into that room and you see the different areas for the schools and the books being sorted, and every day going out to kids in our community, which is a great thing to see. And then you have need for more ground maintenance services.
Right. What we're trying to do is we would like to have a service do our mowing. It seems somewhat insignificant, but it's not really. What we currently do is we have one staff member who's basically in charge of trying to get all 20 of our locations mowed, and what he does is he is able to get help from the sheriff's office, from the inmates. And what we'd like to do is get that in a position where we're sure that it can get done without being dependent upon our staff, and allow that staff to do some other things in our facilities.
And that's something you're going to outsource?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. All right. Rich, you have any?
The new cataloging system that you want to do, you submitted that request in the capital, is that
Yes,
right?
yes.
What's the cost of that? I don't have it from
I believe it's $400,000.
Okay. Is it a 4% or bonds, you think? What's the lifespan of something like that?
This one's been there 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
All right.
We put it in the bond.
Yeah.
We sent that information.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that's probably the right way, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think, Mayor, the other thing that we talked about when I met with the staff, library staff, a week or so ago, is the maintenance issue of the facilities.
Right.
It seems like that there's, it's great to build new libraries, but it'd be pretty nice to keep up with the other ones. And we haven't had a system in place to do that. And what we had suggested is that we would start. They're going to work with General Services on trying to come up with a sort of a model that they would like to use a schedule on doing that, and that we would look to potentially put some capital dollars in this year's spending plan, just for not routine maintenance, but large maintenance projects, new carpeting, new roofs, just physical upgrades to the facilities, and sort of start that process. We do that somewhat in parks now.
Yeah, we do it in other departments.
And some of the other departments, and I think libraries we just haven't done that. That's something that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And we talked about that.
And I don't think that's atypical for library systems and government, but I think one of the things is that we really need to get on top of that, because we want part of having our buildings accessible is to have well-maintained buildings. And they cost us more in the long run if we don't have routine maintenance.
We'll go through our capital budgeting process over the next 30 days, so the sooner you can sort of get us some information on that, the better.
Okay.
Yeah, we submitted it, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea.
No, I think it's important too.
Well, I mean, I would like to see us expand the hours of library operations, and obviously, we're restricted in what we can do by the budget, but I think it's important that we have, I think, a great library system, and it's getting better and better, and it's good to have it open as much as possible. And so if we can do that, that would be high on my list, Rich, as something that I'd like to see done. You probably should mention the foundation. I'm not sure everybody viewing understands that in addition to the resources the government provides, you have a very healthy, successful, and I think it's sort of a national model of a library foundation that brings private dollars into the library system and supports a lot of the innovative things that you do.
Right.
So you might want to talk about that.
You're absolutely right. The Library Foundation typically provides us over $2 million a year for what I would call value-added services, innovative services. A couple of the things we have going now are very exciting. The Learning Lab project is being run through the foundation and with library staff, and right now we're in the exploratory phase. Basically, this is what is being called a makerspace, and it would be directed at teens. The grant came through the MacArthur Foundation and the Institute for Museum and Library Services. And basically, it provides the concept that instead of libraries just pushing information towards people and teens, but teens would actually be able to come in and create information or a product. So if I were a teen and I decided that I wanted to write a poem, I could come into this space, write a poem using our resources, then I could put the poem to music if I wished, then I could create a video, and I could do online research all in one spot. And this is a model that's being used several places in the United States, and we are in the forefront of this. So that's something the foundation is very involved with. The foundation also funds our part of the Salon 615 series. They have a large part of funding the Wishing Chair Puppets, and that production that so many people enjoy at the main library. The Bringing Books to Life and our literacy programs are funded in large part by the foundation. We believe that they're going to approve this year the addition of an adult literacy coordinator for the library that will come through the foundation funding. We're also looking at a pilot project that's exciting. It's basically a library red box type of concept that we're going to try and place a couple of them in the community where people could actually check out books or DVDs through the red box from the library, and those would be outside of our walls. But that just gives you a little bit of an example of some of the things that the foundation is doing. They have a very active board. They're incredibly supportive, and they're about ready to go out on a capital campaign that's going to be crucial to the future of these programs.
Well, I think the libraries do a great job. You've done a great job since you've been here, and I love the libraries. I think it's a great thing for our city, and I think your focus on adult literacy is key too. And the more we can get the city reading, the better. I guess from my point of view, Rich, if everybody's riding the bus, walking, and reading, we'll all be happier.
We will.
2 out of 3 I like.
And so,
It'd be a long walk for me to find a bus route in my house, so it's tough for me to do that one. But
when MTA's in here,
as to
maybe
the walking and the reading, I'm very supportive of those concepts.
And you know, the programs you've got, and you'll continue, Limitless Libraries, which of course I love, and the Salon 615, the City Reads are all really wonderful. In 2014, we got some exciting developments will occur. We'll have the Southeast Hickory Hollow Library opening. We'll have the Bellevue, the long-awaited, long-desired Bellevue Library. It's
almost like a myth, you know. It's like a metro myth. Is it really going to be?
Well, I have
Bellevue
to say,
Library.
we have started visiting with community groups. Yeah, we've started visiting with.
Do they believe you that we're really going to do it?
They look a little bit astonished when we first started talking about it. But actually, there's a new Friends group. Friends of the Library group that's forming out in Bellevue that they're so excited about. Yeah,
it's been talked about for a few years.
A few years, and you have a very good board. And Margaret Ann Robinson's here with us, and I want to publicly thank her for her total commitment to the cause of the library and all the great service you've given. Is there anything you want to say, Margaret Ann?
Yes, I've got one little piece I want to say. I wish our employees in the downtown library didn't have to pay to park. Is there any way you fellas can work that out?
I'll get Mr. Reeling to figure that out.
Oh, that was not fair, Mr. Oliver. You have absolutely now put me under the barrel. I have no words to say. I am at a loss for words. Let me just say that. I will get on that.
Okay.
And Margaret Ann, I'll give you his cell number if there's any problems. But thank you to all your staff. I came to the library event, which is a really nice event, and honoring the employees who took the buyout, who are retiring, which was a very appropriate thing to do for their long service. But it's a great staff, and every time I go into a library, I always feel that the metropolitan government is really well represented by what's going on in the libraries. So I know what I want to do, and we'll see what we can do. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Well, thank you, and on our part too, we do appreciate your support and involvement with the library. It's key and critical, and with my experience around the country, I know that that is not always the case, and it makes such a difference for us, so thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.